Physicians of Northern Europe Masterclass. Association of Pakistani Physicians of Northern Europe, or APNI, is an association of Pakistani doctors working in the United Kingdom as well as in Europe. APNI is always with you to guide, to steer, to motivate, and hold hands of every Pakistani practicing doctor in order to fulfill his medical, ethical, and social responsibilities and duties fearlessly. Association of Pakistani Physicians of Northern Europe always helps in networking and act as a platform where various matters related to medical practitioners are put forth and solutions are discussed on this platform. Association of Pakistani Physicians of Northern Europe caters to the upliftment of doctors, aims at creating awareness among the general public regarding the importance of practices and about various diseases. APNI Masterclass offers a great platform to Pakistani doctors and other IMGs to gain knowledge, to learn new techniques, apply this knowledge and skills into their medical practice. On this platform, the esteemed practitioners share their knowledge and expertise on the recent advancements related to new medicines, medical equipment, and surgical and diagnostic techniques. Now I hand over to Dr. Khan to carry on this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Raja. That was really useful. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm Adil. I'm one of the primary care physicians in Manchester, and I'm associated with APNI since a long time. And I welcome all of you to this webinar on GP training as first job in the United Kingdom, related challenges, Pyco-Social Wellbeing and the intercultural challenges for IMGs. I personally am based in the northwest of England. I do have some roles, and I'm also engaged with APNI. I'm also a member of the RCGP Northern Faculty of the IMG Working Group. Also, I'm the first 5 chair of the RCGP Northwest England faculty. I am today joined by my other colleagues and my co-host and moderator colleague, Alina, who is hosting this webinar with me today. Before we proceed further, there are some ground rules which I want you to all know. The session is being live streamed on Facebook and the APNI YouTube channel. I would appreciate if everyone can mute their mics. And all colleagues attending are encouraged to post questions in the chat box. And we will try our best to cover all the questions, but some might not be covered. And we can organize another session to address that, or you can email us. I feel these are really important topics which will provide you with detailed and deeper insights as an IMG, especially more so when you are new to the country, new to the system, and just starting afresh. I would also like to now invite Alina, my colleague, to introduce herself, and then other speakers, and then I will have a chat with you again with regards to our first talk. So Alina, over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alina. I'm one of the doctors who is currently working in the East Midlands. I welcome you all in this webinar. And I would like to thank APNI for arranging such an opportunities for an IMGs. I've been attached with the APNI for more than a year, and it's really helpful. It helps in giving us opportunities to make our portfolios. And hopefully you guys will find this webinar very helpful. And now I would like to hand it over to Dr. Waqas.
Waqas, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah. So I'm Dr. Waqas. Welcome, everybody. This is a great opportunity to say hello to all of you. And this webinar is aimed for, I've slightly diverted from my topic. I mean, the challenges with the new IMGs will face. So I'll be talking about the well-being issues, starting from things like self-awareness and things which will come to a minute. So I work as a GP in St. Mary Hospital. I'm in Urgent Treatment Center in A&E with my special interest in acute injuries and urgent care. And also I'm a principal GP with a mental health lead in one of the leading practices in London. And I have got experience in mental health. I've got a diploma in mental health. And also, you know, as a GP, when you do certain other smaller courses and things, as very tiny stars on your shoulders, which is very important for everybody. So here we go. Back to you, Alina or Adil.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite our first speaker, Dr. Anas Rafiq, who's a member of APNI and a GP specialty trainee in West Midlands. Dr. Anas will be talking about GP training as first job in the NHS and related challenges and sharing learning based on his own experience for the wider benefit of everyone. Dr. Anas, I would like to invite you, and if you could introduce yourself and take over from here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Rafiq. I am based in Coventry and Warwickshire program. I am a GP trainee. I'm in second year. I have been very enthusiastic about this very session because I wanted APNI to take over an initiative where we can address the needs for IMGs. I have seen myself as a very fresh starter in the GP training, and I can see a new trend we have now that like GP training would be the very first thing any IMG who is landing into NHS system will like to think of because of the perks and the charm we have in the GP land, which is quite fertile for IMGs in UK. What I've seen recently is that like the new IMGs who haven't got any experience in NHS or maybe having just minute experience would like to give it a start to GP training, but they are not very well aware on how it can be a bit challenging as well. Previously, people used to have at least 2 to 3 years of medicine or something which they have done in NHS. They would have been knowing about all the protocols, would have privileged to be, I mean, like very well versed with the work environment, how the ethical side of the NHS works and how it is different from back home. But since people are now starting a bit, I mean, like kind of, you can say early, I would say in GP training, we need to be acknowledging the fact that like we also need to be aware in anticipation of what we should be aware of. I can see a couple of colleagues here have joined, and I can hope that like some of them would be starting on coming Wednesday. I hope this presentation will help you know what it will involve as you go down the route of this training. And I am hoping that like I will be covering major chunk of the areas you need to be aware of, including the prerequisites and the challenges. So giving it a start, as you must be knowing that like we as an IMG, I would say, are not as privileged as a local medical graduate who has got foundation year done here. The foundation year done by local graduates are 2 years of a training system where they get to know a lot about this GP training. It is because in the medical school, they get an exposure in the primary care. Moreover, when they have 2 years of foundation year training, they would be having at least 4 months of placement in GP training, GP surgeries, I mean. So at least they would be knowing about how the primary care works, what are the protocols there, how they have been, I mean, like exposed to the IT system is very different to over experience as an IMG who is starting from the scratch. So we need to get to the point where they had already started and maybe joining you on coming Wednesday. So first thing first, a brief touch I would be doing on prerequisites. One thing which we should be having sorted out by now is DBS. I hope you all have your police character certificates from back home and you have got done with your pre-employment checks. If it is not yet done, please make sure that like you are completing the checks by now, which is inclusive of this PBS or any occupational health checks, because you can't give it a start in the training if you haven't done the prerequisites. Moving on, one very important thing, which might be a new kind of a cover to you, it is called indemnity. So I will like to simplify it. In this part of the world, we have to be very protected, and we need to be aware that like we are protected against any kind of claims or complaints by the patients. We are very lucky as a GP trainee that Health Education England has made it free for us. The organization called MPS, Medical Protection Service, is for free for all the trainees joining the UK healthcare system. So you need to just fill in the paperwork. Right now, I had been having some chat with few IMGs who are here and about to start. They were doing the paperwork. Make sure that like you have signed up for the MPS. They must have sent you emails by now. If not, get in touch with your lead employers and make sure that MPS is something which you have done. Because why we need it is an important thing to be aware of. In case, by any chance, down the route of this training, if you are exposed to any kind of professional liability or a kind of a might be legal suit which you haven't been exposed to and get trapped in it by any means, if it is getting any difficult for you, that like a complaint is made by the patient, or by any chance if it is like possibly a concerns are raised, so only a medical protection service body can help you there. So you need to be having that subscription in place. Moving on, RCGP subscription, which is meant for a couple of things. Firstly, you need to be a member of Royal College as associate in training. There is an annual subscription fees, which we all need to pay. Why it would be benefiting you is, firstly, we need to have it because we need to have the portfolio, a 14-page portfolio, which has been there in place for last few years. This is an electronic portfolio where you make your entries, you make your all reflections. It is quite important because the patients you will be seeing on day-to-day basis, you need to reflect on what you learned. So a clinical learning log you need to be filling in as you go along the different placements. It is also important because you will have a full question bank, which is very kind of a mirror to the actual upcoming first exam you will have, which is called AKT, Applied Knowledge Test. As the name suggests, applied knowledge test would mean that you are seeing the patients, making it possible to reflect on your learning in the portfolios, and finally preparing for the very real exam of the AKT, which we will talk about at some point in this presentation. The very important part here is, if you are very new to the system and you are not aware of how the things work, then you need to get in touch with your HR if you are starting in a hospital placement for a couple of things. One is to let them know that you are here. If you have got an accommodation to be sorted, they can help you out with staff accommodations. They can help you out get a smart card as well. This is quite an important thing to be aware of because the smart card is a multifunctional kind of card which is available to you throughout your journey in NHS, and you will have an access to different patient records, different softwares just via smart card. For example, in primary care, if you start, the major software we use in most of the England is EMS. Then you will have to have a smart card. Only HR can get you this smart card, or a practice manager if you are starting in a GP placement. So make sure that you have got it in time and you're not getting delayed on it. Also, sometimes you need an ID badge. If you need one, you need to have it because that would be also helping you along the line, because you need to make sure that like everyone is aware of what your role is and your name and everything is written there. These were the very basic things, but I would like to go now to the very important part. Make sure that you are informing your clinical supervisor and educational supervisor. Now, it might be that like I am kind of firing and bombarding with different terms here. I would like to make it very simple on those things which people get to know after a month or two, so that this session helps you know that in advance. A clinical supervisor is for every placement you will have. There will be possibly 3 placements in hospital for you, and every placement will have a different clinical supervisor for you. They are there to look after your clinical grounds. By that, I mean how you are improving on your clinical assessments, how is your history takings, your examination skills. We call it SEPs in training. There you will get to know more on what you need in SEPs, those kind of stuff. And then if you want to go for a quality improvement project, or if you want to go about anything in governance, in addition to your clinical role, your clinical supervisor needs to be aware of. But firstly, inform them that you have arrived, and also ask clinical supervisor that you would like to have a placement planning meeting, which I will get to shortly on what it is. You also need to email your educational supervisor. I hope lead employers by now would have sent you an email which should state your educational supervisor, your ST1 placements, your ST3 placement, where your educational supervisor is based, and also it should inform you of a training program director. You need to know your TPD as well. So 3, I would say, trainers you need to be aware of. First is your clinical supervisor, second is your educational supervisor, and third is your training program director. It may sound funny, but I got to know my TPD after the 4 months of GP training. I got to know my educational supervisor after a month I had been into training. It might not be sounding as problematic as it is, but if you are having any expectations, anything you want to discuss, the first line of contact is your supervisor. So it is of utmost importance that you at least know who they are, where they are based, and their emails and contacts you need to have. Before I move on to challenges, one more thing which I would like to cover here is rota. So what I've seen is, yes, a 40 hours rota is definitely something you need to be covering as a trainee in ST1 in your first placement onwards, but people sometimes are overdoing their routine clinical work. So please make sure that your rota is exactly tailored to your work schedule. If you are a 100% full-time trainee, then it would be 40 hours for you. This can include some additional hours depending on your own calls, but that is a separate topic to talk about. What is important here is that you should be aware that you are not exceeding the actual aggregate hours in your contract, because recently there had been a couple of IMGs who were not aware of it, were sitting into surgeries up till 6 p.m. and they would be just burnt out, and they would not be aware that they can negotiate with their practice manager or supervisors that they can't work beyond what is in the contract for them. So do read your contract. I hope your lead employer must have sent you contracts by now, because previously we used to also get contracts a bit late just because we were not very proactive about it. So the couple of things as a prerequisites we just talked about, you should be very proactive. Please make sure that you are pursuing it from your end as well, because there are hundreds and hundreds of trainees joining you. It might be possible that, like with the overwhelming situation the lead employers are in, you may have to be proactive about asking on your part different things we just talked about. Now I will go to the real part where actually I wanted this presentation to help new IMGs. This is an avenue of challenges which we as an IMG can face when we are starting the GP placements or hospital placements. Please be aware, first thing, the GP land in UK is about everything. I mean, the diversity of patients is anything you can expect from your door. It is inclusive of medicine, peds, gynae, everything. So the different hospital placements are there to help you get some acclimatized with the kind of patients you will be having in your primary care. Hospital placements are also meant to make you aware of the referral systems, how the secondary care is integrated with primary care, how they work in collaborations. Why you need hospital placements is also because you need to make sure that you are getting very used to NHS in your secondary care as well, because it might be that down the route of training at some point you may like to do locums or maybe having some future plans, so you are doing it well. If by any chance it is a GP surgery, it might be more smooth as a start, because I have seen that like GP surgeries are quite accommodating when it comes to GP trainees. So if you are starting as a GPST1 in one of the primary care placements, then you might be having more of an induction plan, more understanding about the system, more IT exposure. But I will come to this dilemma where we start in hospital straight away, because then it is your proactivity where it will help you to get to, I will like ask for more induction, more shadowing. Why is it important? Because induction plan will help you know everything about the departments, will help you get to know the staff, their roles, and what kind of IT softwares are there. It might be that if you are starting from, I mean, like the scratch for example, IT softwares, which you were never exposed to in the past, you were always doing a paperwork. It might be that like the IT is brand new thing to you. The placement planning meeting is with a clinical supervisor. Firstly, as I did mention earlier, you need to email them that you need to have it. In the placement planning meeting, be very crystal clear to your clinical supervisor if you haven't been using IT systems before, because the whole NHS is surviving on IT. The softwares are meant for clinical records of the patients, for investigations, for all the imagings you can access, for all the hospital letters, everything you can imagine is on the IT softwares. And there might be a couple of softwares which you need to be getting well versed with. If you are starting as a brand new, fresh trainee in this world, then it might be that you are not knowing about how different softwares work. They will provide you with a package where you will have some exposure to hands-on practice. But what I have seen in hospital placement is they will like you to get well versed with these IT softwares in a week or two. It might not be possible for you to get very acclimatized with this in a week or two. So let your clinical supervisor know that you need more time. If you feel that you are, for example, a very common software which you might be using in hospitals is Lorenzo. If you are finding that like requesting a CT scan, or for example, requesting an MRI or making a discharge letter is not as handy for you as your one of the peers who had been working here. So be honest with your clinical supervisor in placement planning meeting, which will be in a week or two, I hope, that you are finding it kind of exercise where you need some practice so that they can prolong the induction plan slightly for you if they can. You might need to spend some extra time on the hospital days as you start. It is absolutely fine, so that you are getting your hands-on practice with the IT softwares. Secondly, make sure that you are also getting the shadowing period here. This is quite important, because if you have not possibly worked in NHS or have worked very, I would give my example. I started as a non-trainee, in fact, in a crisis team, which was psychiatry. 4 to 5 months I had, but I jumped into GP training, and I was not aware that like I need to have some shadowing. I started in GP surgery, which was supportive, but afterwards I had acute medicine. So what I did was email them that I will have to shadow a registrar. I will like to shadow someone senior to me, in particular for the on-calls, because if you are on your own, the error of mistakes definitely increases in the margin. You need to be making sure that you are very protected And you need to ask possibly your colleague who is a bit senior to you, or maybe preferably I would say a registrar if they can shadow, because they are very supportive about it. And they will let you know how, for example, to attend the cardiac arrest, how, for example, they will be wanting you to clock the patients, how they will like you to, like carry out a whole on call, but their expectations would be from you. And if by any chance you're not understanding what a clinical day involves, what kind of ward round expectations are from you, what kind of notes you need to make, what kind of possibly, like responsibilities you have, be very open and question about it. The key here is to question, question, and question. Don't be shy. Be open-minded. They have inducted you. You were brave enough and you had the courage to complete this exam, which is meant to induct you in training. You have got all the pre-employment check. Everything has been done. They recruited you. Now they are there to help you. Please ask for the help if you need. If you need a bit more shadowing, as I did ask in my acute medicine placement, I would be honest, I asked for a month shadowing, and they were kind enough to understand that. And it is no harm in asking it. So at least be very open about your background experience with your clinical supervisor and set some goals in the placement planning meeting with your clinical supervisor. The goals here could include your personal development plans. For example, in acute medicine, I wanted them to know that like I had in-house job a good experience, but I was not very much looking after pulmonary embolism, for example. So I would like to have a good exposure to possibly, like developing on diagnosing it early, kind of any plans you can have. A personal development plan is about what areas you believe you were wanting to improve or you were wanting to get polished, and you can make it to the development plan. This can include any examples. And there are a couple of things which are available online as well. You can check on possibly any GP training website on what kind of development plans you have. But your clinical supervisor will be very good at letting you know about that. So make sure that like you're discussing this very thoroughly. Moving on, it is quite important for you to do the mandatory trainings as well. It is not a tick box exercise. For example, a safeguarding. Safeguarding children or adults is not something I would say very well privileged in the rest of the world, but in this part of the world, this is the most important aspect you need to be aware of when it comes to mandatory trainings. What I have seen as a trend, people find it like a tick box exercise and would not go doing it thoroughly. Please be aware that you are doing it very well, and that mandatory trainings can include a lot of other things, possibly how the department's health safety system works. How, there are a couple of things you might be finding that like they are very leading to boredom, and the training link you have is just there to fulfill formalities, but not. Please make sure that you are doing it wisely, because as an IMG, we might not be knowing about how the trust works. Moving on, what I believe is quite important here is about the learning resources. We as an IMG are not aware that like there are good resources which can help you get to the point where you will be finding yourself quite confident by doing it. You will be finding yourself getting very sound in your knowledge. For example, ELFH, it is a learning hub. It is quite important for you to have some online courses done and reflected in the CPD supporting documents. For example, I would say like end-of-life care. This is an area where I have found that like me, myself, and IMGs are not doing much back home. But here you will be having a lot exposure to geriatric population. And you will have to discuss this with all the elderly people, or maybe at the verge of discussing it to the point where you have to document their wishes. You have to know what exactly a respect form is. You will have to know every bit about it. So please make sure that you are doing some online courses as well. I find this ELFH is quite good. For example, go to DNA CPR resources. This is a full bundle. You can enroll yourself for free. Anybody having GMC is having this free access to the resource. Then comes BMJ Learning, which is quite good as well. I find that they have got good modules. They are very good at your learning. They will be helping you, and they will help you know more about contraceptions, dementia, whatever your learning needs are. You need to get some sort of learning for the areas you find that you have not been doing much before joining the training. So this is important as well. And RCGP courses and certifications are there as well. You if just type on the Google's RCGP courses and certification, that will pop up with this very resource, where I found, for example, safeguarding for adults was available for free. I did it from there, and that was brilliant. I will touch one thing here, which is, I believe, a very common question, that do we need ALS or not? In addition to the all learning we are doing at the very start of the training or down the line. ALS is not a mandatory requirement, but if you're starting in, for example, acute medicine placement, or if you are wanting yourself to be very confident about attending a cardiac arrest, and I mean, like doing all the stuff they expect you to be doing, then it is good to ask your trust that from your study budget, if they can provide you ALS. But if they kind of, I mean, like study budget is actually meant to make sure that like you are doing all the educational needs, which actually are on payment. So if you can avail ALS, well and good. If not, at least a basic life support is mandatory as a face-to-face course now. So depending on the trust needs, you might need a ALS, but it is not mandatory. Still, you will need a basic life support. So please get it out of the way and ask for this. Ask your clinical supervisor and ask your team, maybe if in practice, if in, I mean, like primary care, ask your practice manager to get you these certifications, which are mandatory and part of training. Moving on, I will touch on GMC Good Medical Practice because this is again an important area. There are a couple of things by GMC which are expected of you. I will be honest, after PLABs, we hardly touch anything which is about ethical, professional obligations, and scenarios we practice in PLAB are very oriented about how we approach the things in the fashion GMC wants us to. But after this, I would say I hardly see anyone reading on GMC Good Medical Practice. We need to be reading on it. We need to be reading on record keeping. What is expected of you on record keeping? For example, just to touch on it, if they say in NHS, if you haven't recorded it, you haven't done it. Maybe you have done whole the neurological examinations and you're just mentioning about the power tone reflexes, for example, but they will expect you to be very elaborative about it. And you need to make sure that like you are reading on what they expect of you in record keeping. Have a good read on it. This is a booklet by GMC available on their websites. And for example, chaperone policy, what you are expected of, when you need it. Then moving on, information governance, I mean like protecting the patient confidentiality, the data you have, how we know that like what is needing to be in documents and what can go into confidential bins and stuff like that. So it is all about knowing from that GMC Good Medical Practice that I can share my experience. Otherwise, I was also not very well versed. So please have a good read on it. I would like to now wind up with communication skills as one thing which I would like to mention here. I find that the only area, if you can work and you can take away something from today, is about communications. This part of the world knows that you are very good at your medicine, but they expect much more than you when you are joining the training. At least they would want you to be crystal clear in your English. If you find that the language, despite, I mean, like OET and IELTS we do, I find that like we are not as good as a native would be. It's quite understandable. English is our second language when we start here. So when it is not your first language, you may have a struggle a bit. There are a couple of resources like Rachel Dexter, I know of. She is providing free services and healthy English clubs she runs. If you find that dialects or the kind of accents which you are getting a difficulty with, you can maybe join the free resources. Also, sometimes I would say watching seasons without subtitles can help. So anything which works for you, but make sure that communication is something you are getting very polished with. Make this an action plan or a personal development plan. You can ask your educational supervisor as well, as you will contact him, let him know who will be looking after you for the whole 3 years. Sorry about that. I should be mentioning on the one thing which you should be very clear about. Educational supervisors should be there for you for every kind of support you believe you need in 3 years. We touched on the clinical supervisors a lot, but do let educational supervisors know about what you are expecting from them. And if you need an extra support, may it be with anything, may it be communication skills, may it be you are brand new to the system. For example, like me, if you had worked in psychiatry only beforehand and you were not exposed to acute medicine or anything which you are starting with as a placement, then let educational supervisor know that you need possibly extra support. They don't mind providing it, but you need to be open about it. And I can't emphasize it much. Question. They are there to help you. You will enjoy this. I'm enjoying it a lot. I'm loving the training, and I'm here to help any questions if you might have. There might be some unknown challenges despite some we had talked about, but when it comes to unknown challenges which you are not aware of yet, it might be that like it can sometimes impact well-being as well. And I am gonna hand over soon to my colleague who is having this dedicated presentation just for the well-being, which is gonna cover on the psychocultural aspects, psychosocial aspects, which are kind of coming to us as a cultural shock when we land in this part of the world. But don't be afraid, Apni is here to help you with that. And that is gonna be with Dr. Waqas, who will be now taking over for well-being and how you can take care of your well-being while starting in NHS as an IMG. I hope that you're gonna rock it. Wish you all very good luck, and handing over to Dr. Waqas.
Okay, right. So I'm gonna share my screen. Let's go where my screen. There we go. Okay. So welcome you all. I'm sure that my presentation won't be very boring for you guys. So especially, first of all, I would like to just thank, where are we? Just a minute. So I can see a few names. I would, from behalf of Apne, I can see, I mean, a lot of our Pakistani junior doctors have joined, but I can see Nang, Kemi, Adiola, Charles, Aarti, Deepak, Jubal, Lara, and this is great to have you all on our forum as well today. And no offense to anybody, I mean, there are a lot of other names as well, so welcome you all. So my topic, I mean, what I suggested was that we talk about the initial approach, how the mental health has been affected as an IMG. So this is not only if you were a GP trainee starting or you have done your PLAB exams and you're in the country, you may be sitting at the moment in your home countries planning to come here for your exams. So this is for everybody as a person, IMGs, and this is for all levels. It's not only at your level, and I feel still I'm learning these things. So we will be just touching very briefly on, it's a big topic, mental health well-being. So what I decided initially, it was that we'll go for the in-depth communication skills, but I think mainly, and I'm sure that if you see too many bullets, we can escape those slides. So we'll be talking about self-awareness. So it's basically it's all about you, yourself. So we'll be starting from ourselves, as a person, the strengths we have. And then you will communicate, because first there are emotions which comes to your mind and then we communicate. So that is very important. Only communication, but you can't control your emotions, the feelings you have, sorry. Okay. So let me share the slides from the current slide from beginning. There we go. So as I said, my name is Dr. Waqas. I work as a GP. I've got special interest in mental health. I've done certain other things as well. So first of all, this picture, do you see somewhere, yourself somewhere, there are about 54, 55 words here. And my apology, there is only one word missing, which I thought I have got, which is say positive. So do you see yourself somewhere here? Say you panicked, you felt insecure, you still feel hesitant, fearful, guilt, alarmed, resentful, humiliated, indifferent, disgraced, uncomfortable, confused, awkward, disappointed. Lord, so I would like you to mark yourself, just make some notes as well. Where do you find yourself in this picture? I'm sure, I mean, I can relate myself to 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe a lot of things when I joined as a junior doctor here years and years ago, and suffered and learned from my mistakes. And also it was always a learning curve. The good thing nowadays is, that you've got a lot of resources. So for example, when I joined this country, there was no WhatsApp, there was no forums where you can chat. It was just, thanks God, an MSN where you can chat back home with people. The time Dr. Haider Raja Saab came to this country, even those MSN, those chats were not available. So it was total isolation. So thank God, this environment is more vibrant. You feel included, you can chat easily with people. You have got a lot of senior support now. But if I talk about 10, 15 years ago, this was not the case. So I'm sure you will find somewhere yourself fitting in these words. But yes, only 2%, my majority, and these are the surveys, 95 IMGs feel like this for many years, not only for months, they feel like this for many years. And only 2% feel very positive the day they land and start digging into the system. So here we go. So there was a person who, when he started the training, first year, second year, when you go on the shifts, you know, on the doctor's room, there was a blackboard, he write down the hours, he do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 hour shift. And after each hour, he crosses 1 hour. What do you think is happening here? So I'm sure you got a feeling that this person was, and this is an actual happening which happened, and maybe happened with many of you, to be honest, in one way or another. Bored, doesn't feel part of the system, not having enough support. So he was counting hours. And that same person, when he was a trainee, and my apology, I'm using an Urdu word, I've shown many, there's a translation in English, he displayed this picture in his clinical room all the time, which says in Urdu, ye waqt bhi guzar jayega. This means this time will pass soon. Again, what does this reflect? GP training, sitting like this at the back wall, everybody coming and seeing, and he's telling people, look, something is wrong with me. Something is burning. It's going to explode. But to be honest, nobody bothered to check with this guy to give him the support. And he struggled and he struggled, and finally he found his own ways to cope with it. And this is an actual, I mean, this did happen. So that this time will pass. Ye waqt bhi guzar jayega. So maybe some of you have got the same feelings that this time will pass. And yes, this time will pass, and you will be uplifted. Your mood will be uplifted. You will be more confident in all these scenarios. And when he go home, he used to put this picture on one of his doors when he go home and look at it, because he learned with time, he was not getting enough support, that no, I'm not gonna give up. So this is what the take home message today will be, that do not give up. This is not like clinically, but this is, believe me, very, very important with the message I'm going to give you today. So this is the part of our life. We do struggle, and then finally we learn that we don't give up. Many do give up. There will be examples. People leave. Stay or go. Should I stay? Does this system is giving something? I'm a part of it. Moving further. So here we go. You are in this boat. And many of us, you'll be feeling like this. It's like a very bumpy ride on this rowing boat. And that's you sitting there. Maybe sometime I feel the same, like sitting there, and it's a rocky ride. I'm bumping here and there in the rocks. So we need to see how we can calm things down and go with the flow of the system, learn things, strategies. And definitely it's not one day, but today you will learn that you will start thinking about your positive strengths. So IMGs, as Anas has mentioned, communication skills, a lot of other things. I'll come to that in a minute. So they're more prone to have mental disorders, and there is, believe me, less help available. Plus, we don't ask for help. So for example, when I joined as a new trainee here, that was long in early 2000s, I didn't know that I have to register with the GP, and the GP can do a lot of things. There are resources available. Maybe I may have some bodily problems which may be causing me tiredness, lethargy, low mood. So what I can do in this regard? Now there are a lot of resources available which your GP can guide you. People even don't register with the GP for a long period of time. Right. So struggling with local medical system, as Anas pointed out, you start feeling, look, you are gonna shatter. You can't cope in this system. Life is very difficult. How things will progress? Who's gonna support me? My supervisor, my appraiser, things like this. Difficulty with language barrier. Definitely, English is not our first language. And Anas has pointed out a few very good resources. There are other resources, and we can come up in future with a more better specific communication, language, linguistic approach, how to deal with things and the resources available, and personally what you can do at home. But again, this is one of the main things. Again, in informational and cultural problems, different culture, different aspect, different way of life, you take time to adapt in it. How modern you are back home, believe me, when we land here, we feel that heat coming in. We sometimes not able to embrace that. We feel very pressured. We get judgmental. This is another important aspect for all of us. Right. So unmet psychological needs of relatedness. You can't relate yourself to your loved ones. So you are missing physically, you're away from the significant others. And this man is just wanted to maybe hug everybody he's missing. That's always in your mind. If you're at work, you're home, this is what you're missing, and this is a big part of your life. Unfortunately, this is the way it is, and we have to learn how to cope with it, or what resources we can use to overcome these things, which will come. I will come to that in a minute. The other thing, lacking social support in the community, that will cause you social isolation. You don't have good friends, you're lonely. Now we have got, believe me, WhatsApp groups, social media groups, it's a lot easier. Still, some of you may be suffering with this, but we will tell you the ways to cope with it. Discrimination, blatant discrimination. Blatant means it's not very common. I mean, I've used this word here. Any sort of discrimination, which could be a social discrimination. Landlord doesn't give you an accommodation because you are Asian, right? We are black and minority ethnics, BME, our skin color. This happens. Don't give you accommodation. Don't rent your room. You need references. Unfortunately, this is not the problem in big cities, London, Manchester, but if you go in the peripheries, especially before you come here, you try to get a room, nobody give you your name. So unfortunately, these things are present in the system. So you will find yourself, you will see, and you will feel that people, they're very close, they don't allow you to enter. You are isolated. You've been targeted, you're separate, you're staying away from it. And that is partly also because of our own cultural beliefs, our attitudes, our thinking, because we are not a part of the system. In this system, it's a holistic approach. We have come from a conventional background, directly banging the rock. Here, they find different ways to break it. So we move forward. Communication, right? Difficulties of language barrier, high propensity communication skills. Anas has touched on this. I've touched on this. This we will come back with more depth in detail webinar on this in future. Then financial problems. How rich you are coming back home. Finally, that money, if you convert into pounds, into Indian rupee, Pakistani rupee, and African currencies, that's gonna shrink in size. There will be a time will come when your family will struggle to support you. So you will be stressed to get a job, to get into the system. You will be looking for odd jobs. I've been to, remembering going to even restaurants where I can wash plates. Nobody gave me that job because I was on a student exam visa, visit visa. Finally, I did a job, and I still remember I'm sitting in one of the surgeries in Fulham. I did a security job in one of the Chelsea football ground, which is just about a mile away. And I was so happy, and that was a bank holiday. I got double paid. So it was about £100, £120 per match. So if you have to do something like this, don't feel low. Yes, you have to support yourself. Yes, if you are fine, your family can support, at least you are safe from this stress and this depression, because financial issue, it's a big issue. You have to, everything is very costly. Your courses, if you want to attend some courses, so look for things which are more bit free. There are a lot of free resources, free excursions available, which will be good for your mental health. Further on, language, not our first life. My son, he's doing 11 plus, and I helped him in one of a learning lesson where it's called verbal reasoning. And he was struggling, and I gave him some suggestions, and he wrote down the answers. And his teacher said, look, don't ask your dad, do it yourself, that you will do better. So believe me, these adjective verbs, non-pronouns, how there is a good thing here. Medical language is very good. It's limited. You will communicate a lot in medical languages. Same words get repeated 60 or 80 times. You try it. You will be able to speak frequently with your patients and when your colleagues. But when I'm sitting somewhere, maybe pub or somewhere outside in a restaurant with three English doctors or English colleagues or anybody from the community, a time will come where my words won't flow, my language will stop, and this is the fact. Whether somebody is a consultant, until unless they're born here, they're born into the system, that's totally different. So I am from a BME background, as everybody you, and this is something, nothing to get worried. But the good thing here is the medical vocabulary is very good. Your medical vocabulary is very good. Back home, it's mostly the British system. And with time, you will learn the common words used when we say oops. That means yes, this is something. Oh, I did wrong. Sorry. Certain words you like to say isn't. People say inne. So they will. This is which you will talk to people. You, as Anna said, you will some programs on Netflix or internet. You will, and there are certain presentations which will specifically talk about the accents used. Like in London, they use a Cockney accent, which is a bit different. If you are dealing with a Scottish patient, Irish, the accent is different. So there is no harm asking the question again, what do you mean? Make sure you are clear in your mind what the person is saying. Now, coming to self-awareness. So this is what we will be talking in depth today. Very quickly, I mean, a lot of things, flaws, belief. This is you. This is me as a person, which is inside. And I have to shine it up. I have to bring it out. Habits, tendencies, qualities, perceptions, thoughts, needs. What are my feelings? What are my dislikes? What is my personality? How I should present myself to others. So this is, if you see in this picture, all these jigsaws in your mind, right? We bring it out one by one to know your likes and dislikes. I'll tell you one thing. Big list here about yourself. Yes, values, beliefs, thoughts and strengths and flaws. You will be thinking what this guy is saying. Yes, we know ourselves. No, just think about it. Do we know ourselves very well? What we like and what we want others to know about us. This is what we are talking about. Yes, we know I like watching movies, that relaxes me, everything, but you need to shine them up and you need to identify your strong beliefs, which will be helpful in this system, not against the system. I don't care, or you don't care what I do at home, how I talk to my family, though I have to be very nice. I mean, this is something we have to take it at home as well. So we're coming from work, something happens, and I'm putting all my stresses on my wife and children. That's not a nice approach. This is also we need to change, because your work environment will affect your family environment. Whether you're sharing room with your colleagues, that may get affected. So this doesn't only heal your ill thoughts, but will also help you to grow. This is what self-awareness is, and a difference in self-awareness and being selfish and self-centered. There's a slight difference. So we will know about our feelings and what causes us to feel that way. Consultant said something, a nurse said something, and we took it home. We reflected on it later. We get very upset about it. What were the triggers and how I can heal the situation? This is what you need to look for. Just take one scenario, think about it, that this is the way I did it wrong and how I can make it better in future. Now, this will help to learn about your thinking patterns, emotion regulation, clear thinking, and finally, it will help you with best decision-making and self-control. Now, interpersonal relationship. Again, this picture, this one of you, the thoughts intermixes with people. When we communicate, our neurons indirectly either collide with each other or go in a very positive way. So this is what we need to think when we communicate. You see things from others' perspective. This is self-awareness. We don't be judgmental. Be able to notice how your words and action can affect others. Is my behavior causing people to go away from me? What is it? What should I improve? This will give you definitely a happier life, mindful of your decisions, thoughts, actions, better communication, and all can decrease your overall level of stress and burnout. Workplace, friendly family environments, sitting with colleagues, everywhere in life. Now, as I said, there is a difference in self-consciousness and self-centeredness and self-awareness. So self-centeredness is when same things, you're honest, non-judgmental, but you stick to those beliefs so strongly that you get a bit selfish. And that will cause you stress and anxiety. We have to be sometimes flexible. If I don't get a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, I started, so I come to surgery, there's no milk. And I started shouting at staff, oh, there's no milk. I mean, I get upset. Small things, this is practically, this happens. You fit yourself somewhere. This could happen in your life. This is happening in your life. So we don't need to stick. We have to be slightly flexible. Yes, stick to your beliefs. But what we are talking about is your communication with yourself and then the way we communicate with other people. Now, self-reflection, very important. Maybe a cat looking in this mirror will look at itself as a lion. Yeah. So we're not saying that you see yourself, I'm a Superman and I can do everything, but no. What it means is that the behavior, thought, attitudes, you look self-confident that yes, I can do things in a better way and I can be a better person with a better change in my life. Look at your past. What happened in the past is gone. This is, I think, a general advice. Many religions talks about this as well. It's a discussion of the past. We don't mourn and cry on it. Yes, sometimes we do feel low mood, depressed, that some actions which we may have hurt somebody, but that doesn't mean that you don't improve yourself. What you can do is reflect on this and move forward and try not to do those mistakes again. And still it will happen that we have done the same thing again, but again and again we learn from it. Still sometimes what I do is I've got a knee-jerk reflex. I will be very upset. I will exit WhatsApp groups. I don't like people's talks, but no, this is absolutely wrong. This is me as a weaker person. I'm leaving my ground, right? This is I've learned. Recently something happened, I learned, I reflected on this. Like, look, you have to communicate, you have to give your expressions, your thoughts, what you believe is right in a respectful way, but yes, you have to move forward and you stand there for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones, for your colleagues. And this is the way you move forward. Mindfulness, this is a technique. Maybe you've seen this out of picture. You can see the water here, right? If we throw anything in this water, what will happen? These waves will be like this, and it will take some time to calm down and relax. So the message is, so what is mindfulness? It's a definition, maintaining a moment by moment awareness of your thoughts, feelings, body sensations, surroundings, environment. Going apart, sit under a tree, with back like this. Just like in London, it's difficult. There's a lot of Heathrow traffic. I'm talking about you sitting in bed somewhere but still you will be able to listen to the birds, chirping sounds, cars, different air, wind blowing. Your body will relax. You need to find time somewhere. Maybe it's your home, your room. Maybe it's a nearby park. Give yourself time. You have to give your time for mindfulness. And this is looking yourself through a tiny lens and broadening the picture so that you can present yourself as a better person, as a better IMG. So obviously, this is not only workplace, this is a general life scenario. You guys are here, you are planning to come to the country, and this is the way you're going to adjust in the system and build a strong personality. So again, same thing, here you are, you're sitting, relax, giving yourself time to connect with yourself. This is very important, to connect with yourself. When you connect with yourself, you get answers to many things. Now you're in the country, non-judgmental approach. We have to go through a non-judgmental country. You may feel LGBT, yes. You may have some other beliefs, fine. Keep it to yourself. No need to get it out of your mouth. Yes, look, and if somebody asks you, challenge you, there are people. So say, yes, but our religion, my culture, well, it's big, but that's fine. If somebody's doing it, it's okay. That's it. No need to put comments, negative comments on anybody. You look at society, you look at children, how they go and how they do. Our society back home, everywhere, Africa, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Middle East, wherever we are coming from, even Eastern Europe. I'm not talking about Western Europe. Eastern Europe, that is sort of an inclusive culture. When I say inclusive culture, oh, friends coming, family coming, anybody can knock your door and bell 3 o'clock in the afternoon when you're sleeping. Anybody can ring your mobile, okay, and they expect you to answer it, and they will be upset if you don't answer it. This is an inclusive society. We have front gardens, right? We like to sit closer to the road, listening to the gossips. We like to sit on the roads, right? This is our culture. British society, back gardens. Why? They're closed. That's their time. You won't find gardens in the front. Just think about it. Front gardens, back gardens. Lots of involved in it. Yes, cultural, but they want exclusive society. They are a bit exclusive. You have to find ways. There is a ways to deal with them. So non-judgmental approach to everything. You get firm on your beliefs. We're not saying you start changing your beliefs, but you have to be non-judgmental and just respect what you see. We can't change things. Yes, we can change things. Even sometimes we can't change things within our home situations. So some of your friends have got beliefs about a political party or about a politician or about a sport person, somebody, same match you're watching, Djokovic, somebody supporting somebody else, respect that. This is very, very important. Now we come to ability, right? When we are non-judgmental, don't embrace. So what is embrace? Embracement means, oh, tight hug, what we do in our Asian community. Oh, tight, and that the person can't breathe. This is to embrace. We have to hug it. So you see the footballers, when they say hello, hi, they just hug like this. Light touch. This is what you need to bring in your life to understand things. You don't need to embrace it tightly. I'm not talking about embracing it tightly. You just need to touch on it, non-judgmental, embrace it, hug it, move forward. Right. Now, very important to have somebody, a mentor in your life. What is a mentor? It's not like a supervisor, a praiser, somebody. Anybody can be a mentor who can improve, develop, train, help you, inspire. Someone who can talk to you in a safe place. You need a safe place. I remember I started work in St. Bart's Hospital. First job, too stressful. London Hospital, urology job. Doesn't fit in the system. Nobody guided me how to history take, how to communicate. I remember I used to cry sitting on a bench, and I used to talk, one of my friends who came earlier than me, and he used to counsel me, and believe me, that was the only reason, and I was at verge of going back, and he supported me just over the phone, and he picks up my phone even if he's at work. You know, he's calling, he's crying sitting at the bench, and that's the way. And then other people came into my life and helped. So mentor is just not an imam or a priest. It's somebody who could be your father, your wife, your sister, your friend, could be your work colleague. It could be anybody who is happy to give you a helping hand. I'll give you an example. So you have to be very careful not coming to those people, closer to those people who will discourage you. So I went to see a friend, and I traveled from Midlands, and I wanted to see Kew Gardens in London. This is in early 2006. And next day I visited him, and he said, where are you going? Me and my wife only, no kids. I said, we're going to Kew Gardens. He said, why are you going Kew Gardens? Only trees, water, what will you do there? Believe me, and I looked at my wife and I said, I'm going there, spending money, and just to see trees. Believe me, this day, 17, 18 years, I haven't been to Kew Gardens, one of the popular London City of Gardens. One day I said, I'm going to join radiology. And he said, radiology. Whole day you will be sitting in a dark room, starting 10 o'clock in the morning, finishing at 6, and then you will switch on the light. I said, he's right. I can't spend whole life in a dark room. Okay, sir. I said, Hassan Bhai, I want to join urology. Urology? Whole life you will be putting scopes into the people's private parts. Is this a job to do? I said, yeah, he's right. What a filthy work. I'm no offense, please. It's just I'm giving you my example. Finally, I decided I need to step away from this person. This is getting too much on my nerves. He won't allow me to do what I want to do. So his mentor is somebody who would suggest you solutions, give you directions, solution-focused approach. He may not be able to solve your problem, but he may show you some ways. Look, do this. Give yourself time. Moving forward, this is what we already discussed, somebody motivational, training, goals, help you with support, coaching, direction, anything to be honest in your life. And mentor is somebody who will, if I just put my hand on this green thing, you are like this. And if you are like this or dry, he is the one who will uplift you, uplift your mood, uplift you as a person out of it. And believe me, you will grow, but you need to find a right person, which could be anybody, to be honest. It's different than, we go to an imam or a priest. Yes, he's sitting like we see, you confessed. Problem is still there. Imam will say, okay, 2 rakah, pray, salah, pray your namaz, you pray, and then you will find pray to God. Problem is still there. So what about people drinking alcohol, masking it, cannabis, bhang, masking it. People go on shrines, masking it. Problem still remains there. So that's what we need to identify and how we can. Now, very, very quickly, I will go with the techniques to, so communication. Very quickly, I'm touching on this. I'm coming to the end of my presentation. There are four approaches which do. Confrontational, non-confrontational, passive behavior, assertive. Now, what is assertion? This word come again and again in your life. When you do certain communication workshop, assertion means statement that you strongly believe is true, that you believe this is right and this is what I'm going to do. So first thing, I care for myself. I don't care what you say. This is a type of confrontational environment. I do care about myself. I don't care what you say. This is like of indirect. You're avoidance of confrontation, but still non-confrontational, but you doesn't care about what other person is saying, which could be your supervisor just giving you a suggestion to do like this. I don't care for myself, but I do care what you say. You're passive. You will be moaning back home. Nothing, somebody told me very beginning, nothing goes unnoticed at workplace. Their eyes watching you. If you work hard, that's what will pay you. You talk to your colleagues, something gossip will go, consultant will know, your colleagues will know, he talked about it. This is called passivism. We moan to other people. We don't say what is right or what you felt. Somebody bullied you, you didn't feel comfortable, you went home and talked about, or some comment you didn't like. So first best approach is assertive and positivity, which is I care for myself, but I do care what you're saying as well. I may disagree. What will happen? You disagree. You may feel childish. People may say, oh, you are stupid, irrational, rude. So, but no, you say those things with your control of emotions and a respectful way. Emotions build our personalities. We cannot live without emotions. Integral part of our body, integral part of your personality as an IMG, when you're on a ward, when you're a GP training, wherever you are. This is how much power and pressure you require to express yourself to the other person. Hold your horses when the ill thoughts come to your mind, and this will come with practice. We will do mistake, and then another mistake, but important thing is to calm yourself down and learn from it. So next thing, should you set back? Yes, rethink, polite, assertive reply, indirect communication, delayed, you're responding, you get an email, you can't get this leave, I'm not approving it. Instead of writing, how come you tell me this and I planned this and I don't. Sit back, relax, come back to it next day, an hour's time. Ask somebody senior who's your mentor, yeah, this is the email I received, this is the text message I received. Because the problem is when we are not in front of each other, the way of communication changes, the word changes. And we try to translate things in Urdu and in our local language. It doesn't work. That would be a nasty word. When we try to translate in a written English and written response, that can be very, for example, this example. This is a translation. If somebody doesn't understand Urdu, it says translated in a very weird way, and this is not the translation. It's about words. It's about what words are about. It's not only words, what words are about to convey. It's not just important to translate, but it's the very essence of translation, what you're trying to communicate. So it's indispensable quality of something. That's what words are. That's what meanings are. So in Urdu, we say, "Ah, bal mujhe maar." Ask ke, no, it's translated in Urdu. I mean, my apologies for people who don't understand Urdu. Like, this is, "Ah, bal mujhe maar," a bull come hit me. How you translate somebody? The English meaning the people use is asking for a trouble without a reason. Similarly, "Ek anar so mein maar," one pomegranate, and there are 100 people who are ill who want to take one piece out of it, and you translate it in English. The person doesn't understand something desirable wanted by many people. This is. So that's, you try to avoid converting your thoughts from your local language to English. It won't work. Watch out, be careful for the words creeping in your minds. Many do not reflect what you want to say, may not be the right place at the right time. Be assertive, be assertive. This is the take home message. Yes, firm belief. Think about it, what you're writing, be assertive. Change words to better phrase. For example, nowadays, patients in GP practice can access their records. So what we have to change is, patient, you gave an option, patient declined the medication. Now you can't write down patient declined, refused to take it. If we read it's offending, you will say, "I'm being offended by this doctor," complain. This has gone to this level. Believe me, you have to take care of these small things, even in your medical writings, your medical notes. Patient was not comfortable using this medication. How does this feel when I say patient declined or refused to take medication? It makes a difference, isn't it? Moving forward, saying no, very important, very important. You need to learn saying no. Why we don't say no? We are packed with guilt. We are afraid of disappointing somebody. You are anxious, or you do not, you do love to please people. We are not here. Believe me, if you start pleasing people, end of your, yes, we think career-wise, I'll get this post, I'll get my appraisal done. Your work will speak. Your hard work will speak. Your honesty, your simplicity, that will speak, and that will help you. Saying, expressing yourself, firmness, de-escalation, but not expense of your own pride and self-respect. This is when we get stressed, when we come home, upset, fighting, as I said, upset with family. You feel your self-respect is being compromised. There will be ways to deal with it, and we'll come to that. 5 signs when you have to say no. Uncomfortable, feeling guilt, exhausted, out of boundaries, or pleasing somebody. Please think about it. Why to say no when required? Prevent burnout, self-care, time for yourself. I can't do this shift, right? I have done 2 nights in a row. Somebody asks you, please swap. You think you will burn out. Don't stress out. We IMGs Asians, we stress out. We burn out. We don't say no. I'm betting we don't say no. We are shy. We have to build our personalities. Saying no doesn't mean rude. You have to give a reason. And again, you don't need to, "Oh, this happened, I can't, I'm going there." No. Look, politely. Give us greater navigation to our lives, and politely you can say, be assertive, respectful, say thanks, sorry, I can't do this, I've got problems at home. Uncertain, you take time. When you're uncertain, next day, okay, I'll come back to you. But don't delay it for days, few hours, minutes, reply back and finish that business. Do not beat around the bush. I was trying to go there, this was happening, and you know, whole essay, whole your life story, what's happening in your life, you've got a disabled child. No. Simple. They will be, believe me, they understand, they will be happy with it, they will like you as a person. This will build your strong relationship with your mentor and any colleague when you say no. So when we say no, this is a Marie Asberg, it's an education psychologist. She developed a model. This is an exhaustion funnel. So you look self in front of this funnel. You keep burning out, pressure, no, oh, I'm an IMG, how can I say no? No support, keep going, digging down, and here you die at the end of this tunnel. You won't lift up yourself. You will sit there, stressing yourself out. Physical, psychological, everything will come in your life. You need to know your own strengths, what you like most, what you feel comfortable with, what you want to be, what you can compromise. Sometimes I wanted to be cardiothoracic surgeon. I ended up into A&E, middle grade, didn't like it. Somebody said, whole day you'll be standing on the floor, won't sit on the chair. I said, fine, yeah, I can't do this. Ended up in a GP practice. I mean, it's fine. It was a learning curve. Maybe I didn't came with, my father still asks me this question after being a GP for the last 14 years, he still asks a question, when will you be a consultant? So when will you work in hospital? It's hard for me to explain back home what a GP is. It's a disgrace for them. Unfortunately, this is the reality. When you talk to your friends, you like to say, I'm a family physician. The GMCA, to be honest, should give a better word to GPs so that we can reflect ourselves in a more better way. So I can't explain to my father that, yes, I'm a specialist, but he said, you don't work in a hospital. This is very quickly, that's your comfort zone in that gray area. Then is your fear zone. That if I say this to my consultant, I won't leave, or that person being given leave, my right was there, or I wanted to choose this route, and I'm being put on night on the first day of my shift, right? Very, very stressful when you are in first time in a specialty. Gynae ops, I was on night duty first time. Look, never went into maternity in medical school, fine. But as a responsible person, and as such, you're clocking and looking of things, you were the first one to bleed. Learning zone, after all this self-awareness, using these skills, knowing where you are, your strengths, you will come out to the learning zone, and then the growth develops. So where we people are now, you're all your seniors, and believe me, you will be coming to this and growth zone very soon. There's a lot of help available now. Apne is there to help you. There are people here to help you. Do not hesitate. Please ask, and you will start living your dreams, find your purpose. Yes, if you can't go into specialty, mold yourself. There are bottlenecks, right? Surgical. You want to come up, you're stuck at the bottleneck. You can't go further. Find out other ways where you have to progress. You have to progress somewhere. Don't end up just like something which you don't like. Try to, definitely we have interest in other things as well, in alternate subspecialties. So something you can look for. This is a very good example. So this curve, you see the green comfort zone. When you use your strengths, you're positive, you go up in that gray. Otherwise, fatigue starts, you go down, you break down, you are crying, a pillow on your head. No harm in crying. It's good. It's your catharsis which is coming out. Cry on the shoulder of your wife, your friend. Sometimes it's good to have tears in your. That's very important. Take out your tears, but not putting it on, taking a tablet, some antihistamine to sleep, or some sleeping pill, and just pillow on your head and not coming out of the room. This is where you break down. End of your personal life, personal strength. You will feel for a long period of time, you will feel that you are a failure. At the end, you have the right to express yourself, to say no, to say yes to things, to share your opinion, to change your mind, to make mistakes. You have the right to make mistakes, but learn from them. State your own needs to be heard. You need to be heard. Your supervisors, don't take things on. If you don't like something, I will do, hopefully with us, another communication workshop where you should, the way you communicate in medical terms. It's different than communicating with a shopkeeper. You have to, so how will you communicate with our medical colleagues who are superior to us? Ask again if you are not sure about something. Because of the language barrier, ask again, what do you mean? Make sure you are assertive, that your mind understands what the question is, whether the patient is giving you some information. Bend, don't break. This is the message for you today. Cope with unpleasant situations, bounce back, bounce back. Terminator. Bounces back, he stands up again. You kill him, he stands up again. You kill him, he stands up again. This is what we have. You understand what I'm saying? This is your personality. Stresses will come, but yes, I will cope with it, and I will prove myself, my strengths and my abilities. You are great people. You are better than, I'm not saying the others, some didn't get opportunity. You are here. You have shown your skills, your strengths, you've proved yourself to be here one step ahead, and you will move forward to that step ladder and reach the 100th mile. Perseverance, English word, very good word, means adapt and face difficulties. Look at this picture. He has come out of this all clay type sand and rocky surface, found a way to come out. Find a way to come out of it. This is only when you focus on your strengths. And when you find a proper mentor, that's very important. Taking care of, looking yourself, take home message, keep the passion and the lesson. Talk and engage with your peers. Balance. Work to live over live to work. Two different things. Work to live. You're not here to live to work. You need to enjoy your life. Avoid professional isolation. Speak to people, forums, mentor, friends. somebody back home, your father, your mother. You know, sometimes you say, whatever you like, we will come to that. Maybe it could be something which we can talk later. Avoid professional isolation. Learn and be tech smart. These gadgets which are available now, different software is available. There are different chat GPT or something. I still need to learn about what this is. Digital detox. Come out of this digital screens all the time. This is my personal opinion. You may feel, my wife, she likes before going to bed 1 hour on that. And I many times I said, this is my comfort zone, please leave me. And I learned that. And finally, holistically, I said, fine, that's okay. That was straining my relation. And finally, she sleeps, she's happy, I'm happy. I like reading travel magazines, I like travel, I read them, fine, this is something which I do. Digital detox means give yourself time. There are many free resources available. There's no harm going in a park. There are many free museums. There are many free places without financial restraint. Try yourself. You can afford, go on a holiday, go on a beach with friends on a car. Try to do something maybe once a month, twice a month. That will give you time to relax. You come out of, when we go on holiday, we're on holiday mode. We come out of those stresses. We don't think about what's happening in St. Mary Hospital or what's happening in Heartlands or where we are. Screen life balance. If you Google it, screen life balance, this is a very good website which talks about screen and how you balance your life, taking the screen out of it and just giving time to yourself. Some people, yes, a few minority may find giving time to yourself on the screen, which is fine. So here, that boat, here you are now, and I'm sure the home message, I'm sure, believe me, I've got firm belief you have taken something today. Your boat has started stabilizing. You are rowing on steady waters, even if the waters are harsh. You have got the skills to control it. You know what skills to control it, and you will work on it, and you will avoid going on to the rocky margins. You see the cruise ships that stay in deep waters. They avoid any icebergs, any rocky things underneath to get damaged. They're higher up. Their water level is high. So they use smaller boats to reach the shore. You use techniques, smaller boats to reach your problems. No need to whole body and emotions and I'll do this and this. No, you need to get your strengths and use those smaller boats to reach those shores. And then this ride will be very, very smooth. This is the person who depicted this picture at home, finally overcome. And this, the story I shared in the beginning was me when I started my job, crossing 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. When is this finishing? And I'll go home after this hell. That was my feeling. Now, a lot of things happened, a lot of resources, learn from my mistakes, still learning from my mistakes. So care about what other people think, and that you will always be their prisoners. Think about yourself. Any questions, anything? And thank you very much. I hope this was interactive. This was not very boring. And it's the main thing, you have to be self-aware, not self-centered.
Thank you very much, Dr. Waqas, for detailed and a brilliant presentation. Thank you very much, Dr. Anas. Before I open floor for question and answer session, I'm pleased to inform you that we have two our worthy, very senior consultants among us. One is Dr. Habib Haider, who is educational lead of APNI. And our other worthy fellow is Dr. Shahid Latif. He is president of British Pakistani Psychiatrist Association. So I will invite them later after the question answer sessions for their comments and views. So now I hand over to Adil, please.
Thank you, Dr. Raja. That was really useful. And thank you, Dr. Waqas, for enlightening us on such a relevant topic for our IMG colleagues. Mental health is extremely important, and it has set out some practical tips to reflect upon and to contribute towards improving and preserving everyone's mental health. Now, I would like to invite sort of any questions from the floor. If people have any questions, just feel free to type them in the chat box. I do have a few questions that have been received. So while people type, I would start by asking a question to Dr. Rafiq. And the first question I have is, why do we need hospital placements in GP training? Dr. Rafiq, if you could throw some light on this for us, please. Thank you.
Indeed, a good question. And yes, many of people have this in mind. It is meant to make you aware of how secondary care works. Because if you are not well versed with it, I mean, like, you are not having a clue about secondary care, and at the beginning of training, they throw you in primary care, you are just exposed to the primary care, you might not be knowing on what kind of referrals you need to make to secondary care, and what can be dealt in secondary care, which is not something we can be, I mean, like, completely managing in the primary care, for example. Also, the placements are different. I mean, like, you can get pediatrics, geriatrics, gynae-ops, you get a wide variety of exposure, psychiatry, mental health, for example. If you have not been dealing with much variety, it might get difficult in primary care when the avenue is so wide and open in the GP settings that anything can come to the doors. So that helps for hospital placements, but gladly they have reduced it to the 4 months, I hope, for the most of the injuries. So you will have 4 months and 3 placements. So a total of 12 months, and then you will be back to the primary care. I hope that answers.
Yes, it does, certainly. And I think it improves the clinical confidence as well, and keeping patients out of hospital, managing them in primary care, especially with the long sort of waits that we have in secondary care at the moment. So yeah, thank you very much for giving us this information. Alina, do you want to take over?
Go to the second question. That's, who should we approach in case of any difficulties?
So obviously, first of all, as we talked about the mentorship, so that's something which we can look at in our environment, which could be a work colleague or anybody which can guide us. And then I think it's the immediate supervisor that plays a very, very important role, and depends upon how supervisor's relationship with the trainees, but that should be built on, and that is the main port of a trainee. For example, if I have got problems with my appraisal or learning things, I will go with my person who's going to appraise me, and to find out new things at my level if I'm an experienced GP. So there's different levels of approach. I think first of all, a mentor is the best person. You need to find a mentor. You have to be very careful that that person is not negatively impacting on your life, and that's the very most important thing. Obviously, you can't avoid it. You will be allocated as a supervisor, but we will do some sort of work webinar on this as well, that how to communicate with the supervisors and the problems you feel and how to address them.
Thank you very much. For the next question is, when should I aim AKT?
Indeed, a good question. You can only take the AKT in second year of your training as a GP trainee. What I would suggest is start at a slow pace if you can, but do it on a regular basis as a preparation. And the best resource I can say of is RCGP resource, which is free for you if you have got RCGP subscription, which you will buy anyway, is GP self-test. It is a very mirror reflection to what exam looks like, and keep doing it. At least if you can do at least 20 questions a day, there are 2,500 questions, and there are other resources as well. But you can only aim it in second year of your training. If you can aim it at the very beginning of training and get it out of the way, that would be the best you can get a relief on. So start it slow, but keep doing it, and closer to exam, like few months back before exam, you can do the extensive work by taking some annual leaves and study leaves.
Thanks, Dr. Rafiq. I will hand over to Dr. Adil for further questions.
Thank you. So just a few questions for Dr. Waqas. Dr. Waqas, if you could further explain regarding a brief sort of overview on blatant discrimination, that would be really helpful.
Yeah, it's a very hard word, to be honest. Adil. It's blatant means it's straight discrimination. Straightforwardly, you know somebody is discriminating you, bullying you, harassing you. Nowadays, it's not very open in NHS work environment, but still things happen. There was a recent survey in 2019, which NHS 15% of the Black and minority ethnic people reported the blatant discrimination at work, which was very obvious. And as I said, we as non-natives and Asians, we don't come up with our complaints, we don't report it. This majority goes underreported. This 15%, to be honest, is not 15, it's a big percentage, but still 15% is it's a reasonable number where they feel discriminated in terms of their life and career. Plus you will see social discrimination, which is quite blatant, and blatant means like you been denied access to something, you've been talked rudely, and you've been you're sitting in a bus and somebody moves away from you. They don't like you to sit with you. So this is type of discrimination. So this is something where we have to face it. We are facing it. We do still face it, different type of very soft discrimination as well every day. But that is something we have to accept. That won't go away, and we have to find ways to just ignore it and deal with the situation then and there. Don't take it home.
Thank you very much for letting us know. And then there's another question which could be sort of linked with this. Can a religious institution play a role in supporting IMGs? What are your views on that?
Very, very important, because culturally we are, many cultures related very strongly to the religions. You have got your own ideas. We need to find out, somebody may be happy going to the church and getting that prayer done and start the day, sitting at home, praying, doing the puja, start the day. And if that works for that person, that is the best thing. Somebody say, I called my mom, my day goes very well, do it. This is your comfort zone where you're getting the support. Similar way, imam, priest, they can play an important role, but not for everybody, I should say. Some people will feel more better going to the mosque, praying, sitting with their mom, they get the strength. Going into the church or your religious place of worship, you feel the confident, gain it. But unfortunately, still in our society here, the mosque and the church haven't worked on, there are projects which are, I'm working with one of the mosques locally to, this is for general population to improve their understanding of their mental health, their general health, and what social resources they have available, because people don't know. But as such, there is no focused working professional environment for people from this platform. Some communities, like there is a mosque in Cambridge, they have built a platform, very strong platform for professionals to come and talk to a professional person. Now you can't go to an imam or a priest who don't understand your problems, your system, your culture in a medical way. So I think that's lacking, but we are hopeful that in near future there are a lot of papers published on this, and there is scope, a lot of great scope for it to improve, but at the moment the support is quite negligible. But as I said, individually, if that soothes you, that gives you the confidence, do it. Why not?
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Really, really useful and insightful talk today. I would like to hand over to Alina, take things forward from here, and then invite our other guests and speakers.
So I have a last question for Dr. Rafiq. Can we appear in MSRA exam and start training with crust from sign back home with no NHS experience? It's been asked by one of the participants.
It's quite a good question and a difficult one as well to answer, because I could see that like this is a new trend for last 2 to 3 years. I would not very much encourage it. I would say that like if you can get into non-training job and get your crest form signed in NHS, that is the best you can do. And if by any chance you have got a consultant who had been supervising you back home and the competencies exactly as the crest form expects you to fulfill, and the capabilities you are 100% about achieving it, and your consultant deems it that like you have been through all the competencies they expect, which are at the level of foundation year, and you have got 2 years postgraduate experience, and you're confident you can get the crest form signed, and if it is approved, Health Education England allows you. And that could be a start, but still I would say if you can get a non-training job, get some NHS experience before you start any training post in UK, that would be the best and ideal.
Thanks, Dr. Rafiq, for explaining for us. Now I would like to invite Dr. Raja.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alina. Thank you very much, Dr. Adil Khan, for moderating this session. What a brilliant session. I learned so many new things, and I'm sure all our participants learned a lot from this presentation. Now I like to invite Dr. Shah Latif, who is the president of British Pakistani Psychiatrist Association, for his views on this session, please. Dr. Shah Latif. Dr. Shah Latif, probably they are busy. So Dr. Habib Adar, our Dr. Habib Adar is our Apni education lead. Now I invite Dr. Habib Adar to express his views, please, and comment on this lovely session.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, thank you, Raja Saab, for leading the session very well. Thank you to our esteemed speakers, Dr. Waqas and Dr. Anas, for giving their valuable time. And last but not the least, thank you, young guns of Apne, Dr. Alina Abid and Dr. Adil, for moderating this session very well. I'm extremely pleased that how you guys conducted this session. This session is very important. I'm a physician, I'm an acute medicine consultant. So, however, still I enjoyed this session very well because you're not talking about the challenges of only GP life, you're challenging of any doctor journey when they started their NHS career. So thank you so much. I think it's a very, very important session for everyone. And as Dr. Nadeem Raja, another colleague, has said in the beginning, this session will be recorded on Apne YouTube channel. Apne education team worked very hard regarding different activities in terms of webinar and face-to-face sessions. And we're planning to do a few more sessions on about GP training, NHS UK experience, interview skills, and everything, hopefully in near future, which we will share all the detail with you guys on our Apne Facebook and via Apne membership email address as well. And once again, thank you everyone for your valuable time today. And once again, thank you, Raja Saab, for coordinating this session very well. And thank you, Apne education team. So thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Habib Haider, Apni education team lead. Thank you very much, Dr. Anas, Dr. Waqas, for lovely presentation, Dr. Alina, Dr. Adil, for moderating this session. So I learned really many things during this session, but I like to mention a few things like indemnity. Everybody should fill the forms and get indemnity because it's a free offered by Health Education England, and it will protect you from unwanted scenarios, and also familiarize yourself with the IT system. That is very, very important, as both speakers mentioned. In addition to that, communication skills are very, very important. If you do not understand anything, ask again and again until you understand. Seek always advice from your educational supervisor, because that is the duty of educational supervisor, to guide you. Dr. Waqas mentioned so many good things, like he mentioned, do not give up. Work hard, learn, grow, and rise. That is very, very important. He also mentioned about self-awareness. So if you have, because this session is live on the Facebook, if you have any questions, so you can post on the Facebook. This session will go also, will be uploaded on the YouTube, or you can email to any speaker, moderator, or directly to Association of Pakistani Physicians of Northern Europe, education@apni.uk or info@apni.uk. Dr. Habib Adar, do you want to say something, or is it a legacy hand?
No, thank you for giving me opportunity, Rasab. I just would like to say the audience that yes, Rasab, you summarized very well regarding these valid points, whatever is by Dr. Waqas. On this note, I realized that due to time constraint, I think he was a bit rushed regarding to cover some of the aspects. So I would like to invite Dr. Waqas and discuss with him. And for the audience, we will do separate session on coping with the stress and work and stress life and communication skills.
Thank you, sir.
I like to mention a few things for our audience to please make a note about our future plans, like Dr. Waqas, Anas, and Dr. Habib Adar mentioned about the upcoming webinars, more sessions, especially on interview skills, e-portfolio, appraisal, revalidation, IMT training, all these important. And if you want to know anything, or if you want to present on any topic, so please contact with the education team, or you can write down directly to Dr. Habib Adar. Please visit our website. So the all details are on our website. So our website address is www.appne.uk. Dr. Waqas, do you want to say something?
Sir, I just want to add that, you know, all the participants, please spread the word. It's for you guys. It's for those people who are in your situation. And so that next time as many can join and can get benefit. And if you take a single thing home, which is positive for you, it will pay us and it will be good for Apni education plans. And to be honest, it will be good for your all peers, friends, family. So do spread the word. And for next webinars, we will inshallah plan something with collaboration with Dr. Raja and Dr.
Thank you very much once again, speakers, moderators, Dr. Habib Adar, Apni education team lead, and all participants of this webinar. I am Dr. Nadeem Sajjad Raja, General Secretary of Association of Pakistani Physicians of Northern Europe. So please visit our Apni Facebook page, subscribe Apni YouTube channel, and press the button of like, so you will receive all our recent videos. Also for more updated informations available on our website, www.appne.uk. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending.
Thank you, sir. So much to everybody. Thank you very much.
Bye.